Hey there, and welcome back again to YAS, a stripper podcast. On this podcast, we'll discuss how classifying each other as people and workers is dangerous to society and marginalized groups of people. We'll also talk about the climate in and outside of the strip clubs and all of the amazing things that strippers do. And of course, we'll talk about all of the things in between. I'm your queen, A.M. Davies, and this is YAS, a stripper podcast. Hey there, and welcome back to another episode of YAS, a stripper podcast. Today's format is very different. We decided to have strippers call in from all over the world. We have mostly American strippers, but also from the UK and from Canada as well. And the reason I wanted to do a podcast this way, an episode this way, is because I really wanted to hear other people's voices and get a real idea of what's going on with them. And I just wanted to listen. And I was telling somebody the other day about how throughout this journey that I've been on, which is being an advocate for strippers, that I had to learn over time how to truly listen. And I thought I was a good listener for a long time. And it kind of just dawned on me overnight one day that I wasn't really truly listening to what strippers want or what they're going through. I had learned all this new information and I was just spitting it back at them as information that they needed to know. And it was the only information they needed to know. And it was the right information. And I didn't take the time to sit back and think of their perspectives or their individual experiences. And so that's why we're having this format today. Basically, so I can shut the fuck up as much as possible, which is really hard for me to do, and just listen to what's going on in their world. Because quite frankly, I spend a lot of my time being very angry at club managers and owners, but there are people out there that are at least trying to do the right thing. And I think that I need to be reminded that people are people, and in every industry and in every part of life, there are people who do things that you really like and appreciate and people who do things that you don't. And the strip club industry is no different. It's made up of people. And it's how people choose to be, not about how owners or employers of strip clubs choose to be. It's how those people choose to be. And that's what the real crux of all of this is. It's determining who's helping and who's hurting, and to create a dialogue around that so we can all learn and figure out how to support each other, because this is going to take a lifetime to reform this industry and create happiness and abundance around it. So we're not doing 4-for-1 today. We're not doing stripper tips. We are just listening to these amazing dancers tell their stories and to connect with them. So I hope you enjoy. Okay, so on the line now we have Meagan calling in. Meagan, can you let our audience know where you're calling in from?
I'm calling in from Lansing, Michigan.
Lovely. Well, thank you so much for being here. It's really important that we're hearing strippers' voices from all over the country and even the world. So what we need to know, how long have you been a stripper for?
About 3 years.
Okay, great.
Mm-hmm.
And you were before COVID-19 dancing in Michigan, right?
Yes, I was in 3 different cities.
3 different cities in Michigan.
Yeah.
All kind of close to each other though, right?
Yeah, within about an hour to an hour and 20 minutes driving distance from where I am.
Okay. Why 3 different clubs?
Well, actually, things have started kind of slowing down since November. So it was kind of just like going around to different locations, according to different clients who would accommodate me, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you live kind of in the middle of all those 3?
Yeah. And I mean, I've danced in Lansing, and that's where it kind of started getting slow at first. So I just branched out from there.
Huh. So actually, that's one of the questions that we need to know is, what was work like for you before COVID-19? So it sounds like work was slowing down in November. I mean, in my experience, November and December are excellent money months, especially December and especially the week between Christmas and New Year's. What was that week like for you?
I was actually out of town in California at that time. So
Okay.
this last year, I couldn't tell you what it was like, what it would have been like for me. I did talk to a couple other women that I work with, and they said it wasn't very exciting. So it was just kind of average according to how things had been in November too.
I mean, do you have any idea of what you think is leading to less people walking through the doors or less money circulating?
Um, Based on what different people have told me, like some people are getting a little bit worried because of political climate, so they're not
Huh.
as interested in spending money and they want to save more.
Okay.
Um, I think there's also just a lot of different types of sex work available to people now. So I think sometimes that can affect it depending on what people are looking for.
Yeah, like maybe stuff online is cheaper and more accessible to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard this argument before, and I don't know, maybe I'm an optimist, but I don't want to believe that that's the reason we're making less money. I've always been a believer that, you know, being in person for the live event is much, much better than watching something online, and that will continue to be the case with other people. But I don't know if I'm just going like la 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 la. Like,
Yeah, it's kind of hard to say. Like, I don't know either because like there is that physical in-person aspect that I feel like a lot of people will look for and need, and like
yeah,
it's a different experience. So it's kind of hard to really compare them. I,
yeah,
like I don't know. It's just the main thing that I've heard from like actual customers and clients is that they're a little bit more interested in saving right now. But
yeah. I hear that. I mean, well, especially now.
yeah.
So what and so more before COVID, what was it like working for your employer, your manager? You know, did you feel supported by them? Educated? Do you know your rights as a worker? Stuff like that?
So in two of the clubs that I've worked in, I would say definitely not. Um, and that's also part of why I branched out to the third one. The third one, like, we didn't really necessarily know very many of our rights. They weren't really explicit about that, but they were definitely much more supportive.
Hmm.
And like, they reach out and ask you questions and like, hey, are you doing okay? Haven't heard from you in a while. You haven't been by the club. Like that club, they also actually breathalyze us before we go home and make sure that we're not, you know, being unsafe in
Okay,
that sense.
that's nice.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I mean, I'm really conflicted about how I feel about that. Like you're adults, you
Yeah,
know. I mean, I guess it's helping everyone to be responsible, and maybe they feel somewhat responsible, but
yeah.
I,
Um,
I'm really going back and forth. I'm ping ponging in my head about how I feel about that one.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
tough too because, like you said, we are adults, and it's not that they breathalyze everyone. It's just like if someone seems like they might have an issue, they'll, kind of check and say like, "Hey, just stick around for another hour, eat some
Okay.
food."
Okay. So they're not like.
Yeah, it's not like a mandatory thing, and it's
Okay.
not everybody. It's just like
Okay.
when they notice that you had a little bit too much and you might
Okay.
not be in the position to make the right choice
Now
without some
I feel
advice.
good about it.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you for clarifying because
yeah.
I'm pretty
Sorry.
sure, like, I literally had this like vision of all of you just standing in line with like
Oh God, no,
out. Okay.
no, no, nothing like that at
I'm
all.
so glad we cleared that up. That would
Yeah,
be totally weird. So okay, so two clubs not so supportive. One is, I guess, and the reason I'm asking these questions is like when your clubs closed due to COVID, how were you treated? How were you informed? Did they give you notice? Like what happened in your world regarding like information regarding COVID?
yeah. So I was actually supposed to work the day that the governor here in Michigan shut everything down.
Mm-hmm.
So my manager reached out to me and he said, "So we're obviously closed, but here's a Facebook group that we're um, like allowing you to be a part of, and we'll keep you guys updated as things go through." And it's also been kind of nice because everyone's been supporting each other and like communicating through there too, and like,
Okay.
you know, just kind of keeping everyone in the loop. I haven't heard anything from the two other clubs, but they're not like as important to me, I guess.
Right. But so they're staying true to their pattern, which is like they're not really there for you.
Yeah, pretty
Right.
much.
And do those two clubs charge house fees and take portions of your dance tips and mandatory tip out?
Yes. Um,
Okay.
the first club I ever started working at, the one here in Lansing, um, they make you pay your house fee before you walk in the door.
Uh-huh.
Um, Tip out is mandatory, even though it's technically not supposed to be, because on the other clubs that I work at, they say, you don't have to do it, but like any service industry, it helps you with the DJs and stuff like
Well, it
that.
doesn't just help you, it protects you. If you don't
Right.
tip out, you have a world of shit on your hands at work. You have
Yeah.
drama, you have to have conversations, you have to dodge people. You
Yeah.
don't get what you need, you don't feel protected. Like, they'll tell you, "Oh, it's not mandatory," but you better bet it fucking is. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's been my
It's
experience. Do
Yeah,
you
no, that's how it is. And like I always
got
tip
it?
out anyways because it's like you said, it's a safety thing and it helps you do your job better too.
Yeah. I mean, how do you guys feel about do you have a sense of the overall vibe, or if you can't speak for others, how do you feel about paying your employer to work?
I'm not a huge fan of like the house fee,
Mhm.
um, in certain clubs anyways.
Mhm.
Like the first one because we didn't get what we paid for basically. Like we didn't get heat in the dressing room a lot of the time. We didn't get fans or air conditioning on stage, which like when you're up there for 9 to 15 minutes,
Uh-huh.
it's
Right.
rough.
Mhm.
But like at other clubs, they actually take care of they actually took care of me and like made sure that we had toilet paper and like heat and things like that.
Basic things that people
So
need.
I guess it's just like
Yeah.
if I'm going to pay someone something, I want to get what I'm paying for. I don't have a problem paying for it.
Gotcha. I see. So in a way you feel like if they were in service to you, paying a house fee is like kind of just a part of the game. That's the way you
Yeah.
see it. Yeah, I
Es-
understand.
Especially because like I know that in other parts of the country the club fee or like the house fee can be really high, like $100 or more.
Mhm.
Here it's pretty low, like 25 to 35 is pretty average.
Yeah.
Um, Only one of the clubs I worked at took about like 45 to 50% of your dance fees. The other ones were pretty good. So that was like my only issue with that because
45 to 50% of your dance fee is exorbitant. It's a huge
yeah,
amount. Yeah.
it
That's
adds up
outrageous.
really quick
Oh,
and
no
it hurts
kidding.
at the end of the night.
Oh, no kidding. No kidding. So so you said only one club after COVID was like file for unemployment. What about like, did they reach out to you to tell you that they closed, or did they just let you find out on your own? What was that communication like with all three?
I like I said, two of them I haven't heard anything from
Anything.
anything, and the other one they reached out to me, so that was nice. And like
That's
they want to open as soon as everything's over, so
sure.
yeah,
And what did they say about I guess the one that's nice to you, did they say that you guys have all your jobs back when they reopen?
yeah,
Okay, great.
yeah.
Um, and how are you surviving currently?
I've actually been working online, but then also I've had a few like regulars that have sent some money to just like help because they miss me and then like they want to make sure I can actually
Uh,
survive.
Regulars are so important and can be so wonderful to have. I'm glad that you have that support.
Yeah,
And then last question, did you receive your stimulus check?
I have not,
You
and
have
I've
not.
actually gone on like the website to see what I need to do to get it, and they said I don't remember exactly what the message was, but it was like they undetermined or something like that for me so far. And I filed taxes, so I'm a
Yeah,
little frustrated.
me too. I also did not get mine.
Hmm.
And I just heard there's a lot of glitches in the system.
Hmm.
But we just talked to another stripper right before you who did get hers.
Oh,
So
good.
yeah, so it's not a sex worker thing, it's like a system thing. Yeah.
Oh, that's good to hear. I was worried that I would like because I filed my taxes as a dancer and a student, so I was like, is one of those affecting the situation?
I
Or
don't think so. I
that's
really
good.
don't. Yeah.
I don't think so. Okay, great. Well, listen, this was awesome. Thank you so much.
If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can email us at yesastripperpodcast@gmail.com. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at yesastripperpodcast. And you can catch the show on YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud, anywhere that you can find podcasts. We hope you tune in next week. I've been your host, A.M. Davies. See you soon.